How's it going, guys? This is Shiny Spam here, bringing you my PWC Season 8 Draft Analysis video. So I know I uploaded Season 6 and Season 7 Draft Analysis videos and nothing else, but hopefully I'm able to find more time to actually upload the season this time. School's been pretty hectic this last semester and a half, so no promises, but I would really like to get back into this and actually upload my battles. Season 7, since I didn't upload, I'll tell you what happened. We started off pretty rough. We drafted a pretty uncomfortable team, in my opinion. I usually draft a lot of like balance, and it was very offensive for me. But was able to squeak out a 7-4 record, which was good enough for a first round bye. So that was back-to-back first round byes. However, in the semifinal match against our good buddy Zern, we choked the game and we lost. So hopefully we can avenge that loss this season. I'm in the same conference as Zern, so hopefully we can do that and finally get my first win in playoffs in the PWC. I guess I'll just get right into it. First mon I drafted in round 1 was Latios. It is a Dragon Psychic, base 110 speed, really good offensive typing. Gets really good coverage, like Dragon Pulse, Draco Meteor, Dragon Claw, just about every Psychic move, just about. Like good old Luster Purge. Gets a lot of good support moves as well, like Defog, Roost Recover, Refresh, Safeguard. I'm not sure if it gets Heal Bell, it probably doesn't, but very good mon, really good dual stab. It can definitely run a lot of roles for my team, but I believe it's going to be my main offensive mon, as you'll see, going out through my team. Up next is a mon that pairs pretty well with it, in my opinion, is Heatran, my second round pick. Really great mon. Nothing does what it does in the format, in my opinion. It gets rocks, taunt, really good coverage, really strong stab. Nothing really switches into it except for bulky waters, which I'll address later on in the draft. Yeah, it really nothing does. It's really hard to switch into. It's pretty bulky, not the fastest thing in the world, but it's paired with Latios. It takes care of most of its weaknesses, if not all. And I think it pairs really well as a key defensive mon, as well with my third round pick, Milotic. In my opinion, Milotic might be top 5 bulky waters. It might be higher. In my opinion, it's probably 5, but gets recover, things like Dragon Tail, Haze, obviously Scald, Coil. Not really much to say about it. Just a bulky water. Gets recovery. Lives a lot of hits. Has a Marvel scale, which is really nice with the burn nerfs since Sun and Moon. So pairing it with Heatran and Latios, it does a lot for my defensive backbone, as it takes care of all the weaknesses combined, I believe, besides the Dark and Ghost weaknesses, which in my next pick doesn't help, but another offensive mon, Mimikyu, unique typing, Ghost Fairy. One of the best abilities, in my opinion, in Disguise, which allows it to get 1 free hit, so it's basically a built-in kind of like a red button, if you will. If I'm about to get swept, I can go into this without breaking its Disguise and hopefully revenge it with its Play Rough or Shadow Claw into Shadow Sneak afterwards. Gets Swords Dance, pretty unique coverage and like Leech Life and Wood Hammer. Kind of hits a little weak, so you need to have a Life Orb or a Z move on it to do much, but still really cool mon. Its dual stab is, I don't think anything switches in on it collectively, but if it was a little bit stronger, I would definitely feel more comfortable, but I'll have to play around that with my Swords Dances and Disguise. My next pick, a little redundant, I went Seismitoad, which is another bulky water. It gives me a ground type, which I didn't really have a good rock switch in at the moment, or an electric immunity, which I really value a lot. Gets rocks. I don't think it gets recovery. Gets water absorb, so an immunity is really nice. Has 2 immunities in it, which is really cool. Pairs really well with Heatran as well with its weaknesses. A decent move pool as well as like Substitute, Endeavor, a bunch of other cool things that I can run. I think it gets knockoff. The only thing missing is like a physical water move, I believe, which isn't too bad because you can just run Scald or Ice Beam. Next up is my Zygarde 10%. It's really frail, which is kind of annoying. That's why I'd much prefer the other Zygarde, but I'll do what I can. 115 speed is really nice for my team, I feel like, as my fastest was Latios at the moment. After that, nothing reaches base 100, which is kind of iffy, but oh well. Gives me my offensive ground, which I really like the last couple seasons. I really like a strong offensive ground to pair with my team. Gets Thousand Arrows and Thousand Waves, which are really good moves. Thousand Waves traps, Thousand Arrows lets it hit basically anything and doesn't get stopped by grassy terrain. Other than that, it's really only going to be like a band set for me probably. Maybe Life Orb, Soft Sand, but just because of those, it's too frail to really set up on anything, but it also gets the best priority in the game and extreme speed, so it'll be pretty fun to use. I've only used it once before, and hopefully I get to use it pretty well this season. Moving on to my next pick is my tier 4 Drapion, Poison Dark. Not much to say, gets T-Spikes, doesn't hit that hard, but it's a knockoff, and Pursuit Trapper, which I really like, gets Swords Dance, so I guess it could set up, even though I don't really see me bringing offense so much. It also really fills the role of my Grounded Poison, because so far, Milotic and Seismitoad don't really enjoy Toxic Spikes on the field, so hopefully I can absorb it with this and trap some Psychics, which I don't really have a big issue with, but it just nullifies them right away, and I don't have to worry about them later on in the game. So, so far I've drafted, it's kind of bulky offense, I guess you could say, in my opinion, but next pick is a little out there in Breloom, Grass Fighting. It's really slow, which is really annoying, but it hits really hard. Gets 2 really cool abilities in Technician and Poison Heal, or Toxic Heal, I believe. Gets priority, Mach Punch. You can run things like Sub, Facade if it's a Toxic Orb set, or just straight up Band or Scarf. Could be really fun to use. Haven't really seen it used much. I know Jolt is using it really well in the GBA, so hopefully I can do that as well. Next up is into my lower picks. I was running low on points, so I just kind of grabbed what I thought were good value picks. So I went Musharna, which arguably is probably one of the best tier 5s there is. It's really bulky. Gets things like Calm Mind, Baton Pass, and nice recovery. The only thing it lacks is a way to be a cleric, which isn't the biggest thing in the world, but it's still something to talk about. Not much to say. That's about it. I think it's synchronized too, so I could bring it in on like a toxic and get something else toxic. My next pick is Pikachu. It's not a meme pick. It actually hits pretty hard with Light Ball. Gets access to things like Extreme Speed. I think Surf I can technically run too, so it's got some nice techs that people might not see coming. So hopefully I can surprise them. It won't come much, but it still gives me an electric that I didn't have before, and I get to use something fun. So then at this point in the draft, I didn't have my Mega yet, and everybody but 1 or 2 people had Megas already. So I was able to pick up Mega Aerodactyl fairly late in the last round. Really good. Fastest mount in the game that's allowed, besides Megazam, which speed ties with. Gets Rocks, Taunt, Pursuit, Roost. Lacks a good flying stab, but other than that, it gets a really good move pool to hit anything, and hits pretty hard as well as be pretty bulky. Overall, I was pretty okay with the team. It kind of wasn't what I like to run, mostly, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. We started draft earlier than we were supposed to, so that kind of threw me off guard, so I didn't have a good plan set in, so kind of did what I could do. So then moving on to the Z Captains, we were allowed to do either 2 tier 1 Mons for Z Captains or 1 tier 1 and 2 other Z Captains that weren't tier 1s. It's kind of weird, but do what you can do. So out of what I had, basically Latios and Mimikyu were no-brainers, and Zydog was just, it could have been anything. It could have been Breloom or like Drapion maybe. I don't really see anything else on my team that I really wanted to Z Crystal on. I just threw it on this just to have one, which honestly I probably shouldn't have put it on yet, but I did anyways, so oh well. So basically the team itself wasn't bad, but I didn't see myself comfortable with it, so I actually made transactions right after the draft before week 1 started. So we were allowed 4 transactions in the whole season, and I actually blew through all 4 the day before week 1 started, so that was something. Like I said, I wasn't really too comfortable with the team, and I saw some ways to improve it, and I basically just went for it. So my transactions went as followed. I dropped Mimikyu for Scolipede, dropped Breloom for Delmise, which then freed up some points. So then I was able to drop Musharna and Mega Aerodactyl in order to get Slurpuff and Mega Pidgeot. While Mimikyu was going to be one of my main mons offensively, I looked at it and I really didn't need it per se. It also didn't really fit my playstyle as well as Breloom. Musharna was just kind of a liability, and sadly I had to get rid of Mega Aerodactyl, which I would have loved to keep, but I couldn't do it with points. So I basically said, alright, let me get another good Spiker, which I didn't have before. So I got Scolipede, and it's a really good mon overall. Gets Swords Dance, Speed Boost, so it can sweep late game. Gets Spikes and Toxic Spikes, plus Endeavor, so I could be cheeky and run something like that. Just arguably one of the best mons in the gen at the moment, in the format as well, in my opinion. But then again, it's not a good mon apparently. The Delmise thing gives me a bulky grass, which I didn't really have in Breloom. It also gives me my Ghost type, which I lost when I dropped Mimikyu, and gives me a Rapid Spinner. Before I only had 2 Defoggers, which I wasn't too fond of. I really like Rapid Spin more, and Delmise was able to fulfill that. He got a boost in Ultra Sun and Moon with Synthesis and Pain Split, so hopefully I can use it well. I've always liked it, and it's pretty bulky, so I think it'll fit well. The Slurpuff pickup gives me my Fairy I was missing and Webs. So my team isn't the fastest, but it also isn't that slow. But I feel like adding Webs to my team also gives something else to prep for, as well as I could abuse its Unburden ability and run like Belly Drum, one of the boosted berries, or just Citrus Berry and sweep teams late game. And then Mega Pidgeot was just to fill that missing flying type I had for Mega Aerodactyl. Again, I would have loved to keep Arrow for its speed tier and all that, but I had to get rid of it for the points. Pidgeot's not bad. It gets really good move pool. Just misses I'm not even sure what's missing, honestly. It gets Heat Wave and Hurricane, which is really all it needs. It's missing one move that I can't think of at the moment, but it's still really good regardless. Gets Work Up, Roost, U-Turn, Tailwind, and Defog more importantly. So I think I can do with this what I can. And with me dropping Mimikyu, I essentially just gave my Z Crystal over Scolipede, which most people will argue that it's one of the best Z Captains you can get behind probably Landorus, but apparently it's not good. But either way, I think it's really good. I like it. So I made it that way. I've used it before really well, and hopefully I can abuse it here as well in the PWC. So overall, this is my team. I feel a lot better with it now that I made my drops. But then again, now I can't address anything later on unless I do trades. So that's kind of annoying, but I feel like this was the best direction for me. And I think I can do pretty well with it. So thanks for watching. Hopefully we can do well. I should have week 1 up by next Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe. I'm going to try to get my uploads for. So stay tuned. Thanks and goodbye.